Hello and welcome to the ScootHub podcast, proudly brought to you by Royce Clothing. Use discount code ScootHub15 at checkout to get 15% off your order. That's not 10%, they've given us 15%, so big up Royce for that. Make sure you go over there, use that code, and it really helps out the podcast. So my name is Stan Kelly, aka Stante Hutchinson, and before we get into today's topic, I just want to explain what the podcast is going to be very quickly. So we're going to be looking at doing a range of subjects. We're going to be doing top 10s, news, and we're going to be doing a lot of interviews with riders. I am actually looking to do this weekly, but don't hold me to that because I can actually be quite lazy and I might skip a week. So we'll get into today's topic, which is going to be why the scooter industry is broken and how and if it can actually be fixed. So I started riding around 8 or 9 years ago, back in around 2010, 2011. And when I started riding, the industry was very new. The scooter scene was very new back then. And since then, it has come a very, very long way. Back in 2012, it was back in 2012, 2013, it was in its heyday. It has come a long way since then. We've got new tech, lighter scooter, lighter parts. We've got much better parks than what we used to have. If you look at Adrenaline Alley back in the day and compared to what it is now, it's completely different. It's mad. Even the comps have got bigger. We've got comps over. We got ISA in Barcelona every year. That never used to happen like that. I remember the first ISA comp was in D-side in Wales, and it was a very small thing. So the scene has come a very long way, but I also think that it has actually gone backwards. There's not the same world tours that pit companies used to have. There's not. I don't think there's ever been the right infrastructure in the scene. There's no agents. People can't make money out of this properly. And but why is that? You've got to look at it. The money in the scene at the minute is just non-existent. Companies have no money. They can't spend money on doing tours. Greenover, they used to do European tours pretty much every year. I remember one of my best mates, Devon Lowe, he was talking about the tours he used to go on and how great it used to be. But no one does that anymore, which is a real shame. But as I say, that's because there's no money in the scene anymore. So we're going to take a deeper dive into that. Going on Google Trends, freestyle scooter was being searched similar now to what it was being searched when I started riding 8 or 9 years ago, and that's wrong. The scene's come a long way, but no one's interested in it anymore, which is a real shame. Back in 2013, it's when it was at its peak. You could tell, man, it was the glory days. Look at Scootfest, for example. The first couple of Scootfests had Chase and Status booked, which is crazy to me. Like, the amount of money that would cost. And the people that turned up to Scootfest back in the day, it was like a proper festival. Everyone used to camp there, and it was pretty mad. I didn't get to go to it because I was too young, unfortunately. But looking at the videos and that, and speaking to people that did go, it just looked brilliant. So, you had Ryan Williams putting out Web Edit 2 in kind of 2013, and it was all going crazy. But you can tell it's fell off. You go to a skate park now, there's nowhere near the same amount of riders that there used to be. You got to think, why is that? That's what we're going to be looking at today. I don't think there is a real good reason for it. I think probably the main reason is people just grow out of it, especially back in the day. People that I used to ride with, my local, there was probably 30 or 40 riders back in 2012, 2011. There's like 3 of us left, which is a real shame. But I think it's a similar thing to what happened to skateboarding. Like, skateboarding, it fluctuates in popularity. It was probably most popular back in the 70s. And it did actually die off back in the 80s, but it come back in the 90s and early 2000s. And since then, if you go on Google Trends and search it, since 2004, it's fallen to its worst that it's ever been. So I don't think it's just the scooter industry. I think it's extreme sports as a whole. But this is the thing, like, how can the scene actually be revived? This is the problem. Like, I don't think it can. I don't know how you're going to get people interested that aren't interested in riding coming back. I've got a few ideas, but I think the main thing that would be good for the scene. YouTube is brilliant. YouTube is great for the scene. It exposes to audiences that we wouldn't usually have. So, the biggest riders are making videos, and they're able to make money out of it, which is great. I mean, you look at Ryan Williams. He's just hit 1 million subscribers. I think he's on like a $1 million a year contract from Nitro Circus, which is crazy. With Raymond Warner, he's on 900k. You've got Tanner Fox, who's on 9 million. I know he's not just a scooter YouTuber, but he does a lot of things, and I think it's great that he is exposing people to the scene. And probably the best one for this is Claudius Vitesi. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not a fan of Claudius Vitesi. Like, I don't know if he's good or bad for the scene, but for me, I don't like him. I won't lie. But I mean, what he has done for the scene is crazy. He's just hit 1 million followers on YouTube. He's exposing scooters to a younger generation, people that without him being out there, they probably would never see or pick up a scooter and try and ride it like how we do. Which, you know, you see people talk bad-mouthing Claudius and how he's annoying and he's a bit weird, which, don't get me wrong, he definitely is. But he's got 1 million followers on YouTube. You go on Instagram, the kids just love him. They love him, and it's good for the scene. You know, it's bringing people in. It's making people spend money on parts. It's giving money to the companies that wouldn't generate that revenue otherwise. Which, you know, it is good. I won't lie to you. I think Claudius Vitesi, yeah, he's not the greatest person ever, and I've only had a few interactions with him personally. But from what I see on Instagram, he is good for the scene. You know, I do think that if I was running a company, running a parts company, I think there are two massive untapped markets going. Which, you know, in Asia, you've got China, it's got 1.4 billion people in it. India's got 1.3 billion. And you don't see any Chinese or Indian professionals. If you were to do an India tour, I don't even know if they've got skate parks over there, you know. But if you did a China tour, an India tour, like Nitro Circus have started to do, it opens up a massive audience. And that's a massive amount of people that you can expose scooters to. So, you know, if say 1 in every million buys a scooter over there, you got 1.3 billion people. I mean, that's crazy. So, you know, if I was running a company, that's what I'd do. I'd try and expose my riders. I'd pay for a tour out in India, out in China, try and expose it to them people, and it's only going to do good things. I mean, I don't know for sure, but I'd assume that most scooter parts are produced in India or China. You know, it's not going to be expensive for them to do it over there. And if it's bringing in more revenue for the scene, that's only good for everyone. The more people that are riding, the better it is for the pros, which, you know, is great. I talked about Claudius Vitesi, but my personal favourite thing is Ryan Williams. I think he is great for the scene, you know. He's, as I say, he's on like a $1 million contract from Nitro Circus. You know, he's just won 3 X Games back to back to back. I mean, I don't think anyone's ever done that. Like, he's crazy. He's just dominating. And you see it when he's in the comps, during the streams. He's always shouting out scooters, which, you know, I think that's great. You know, I speak to people now, like my grandparents, they didn't even know that scooters were a thing. And I still don't think a lot of people do, you know. And I do think that scooters have a massive advantage compared to other extreme sports. Like, we've got the best riders in the world out of any extreme sports, and I do believe that. I think that scooters they're easier than skateboards and BMX, and I don't think many people would dispute that. Like, I picked up a skateboard, I picked up a BMX. It's just simply harder to do tricks. But you know, because it's easier, you've got people going harder. You watch scooter comps, you watch Nitro Circus live, you know. Ryan Williams is going way bigger than anyone else, and he's doing it on a scooter, you know. He's doing tricks that simply aren't possible on other things. And I think that's great, you know, that's exposing people. I think Ryan Williams is everyone's favourite rider on Nitro Circus, because he just pushes the boundaries all the time. I mean, every show he lands a world first, and he'll do it on a scooter and he'll chuck it on a BMX, which is just, I think that's incredible. He's incredible for the sport, you know. He's helping expose it to new markets as well. I mean, they just did a Russia tour, I think Nitro Circus did. I mean, I always see on Instagram there's quite a lot of Russian riders now. The more people that you have riding, the more revenue there is for these companies, which is only a good thing. BMX and skateboard have just come into the Olympics now, which is it's incredible. Hopefully one day scooters will make it, if they're still popular enough to do so. But it's extreme sports. I think more than ever they're becoming mainstream. Like, people always used to look at skaters back in the day and think, you're Grebs. But you look at it now, and a lot of famous rappers skateboard and things. It's great. I mean, Logic talks about how he used to have a half pipe in his back garden. He used to skip school to ride a half pipe. That's crazy, man. Like, the more mainstream it gets, the better. And obviously, I just come back from the States. When I was over there, a lot of the West Coast cities, every street corner, they've got those electric scooter things, which, don't get me wrong, they're fucking annoying. I'll tell you that for nothing. But, you see people on them all the time, and I think scooters are becoming less gay, if that's even possible. Like, nothing against homosexuals, but you know what it's like. You go down the skate park, especially my local, you got the skaters, they're always beefing the scooters. The BMXs ain't that bad, but they're always beefing it, always calling you gay, and I think the more mainstream it becomes, again, it's only better for the scene. These companies can start producing electric scooters, and it helps fund the rest of their business. They can start sending their riders back out on tours, which it would be great. Nitro Circus, I just think that's one of the best things in the most recent years that have come along. I think when it first started, they never had any scooter riders. Our Willie come on for like a couple of tours, and then he got a contract. I mean, just looking at the most recent Scoot Fest, their live stream of it was incredible. I mean, I think it got over 1 million views. But again, you look at the comments, everyone's just powering off scooters, which is wrong. I get it. Like, I'm 21 years old. I'm built like a brick shithouse. But I ride, innit? And a lot of the time, back in the day, you used to ride, you get beef. When I was in America, barely anyone rode scooters at the skate parks that I went to. I think it was more popular over on the West Coast. But when I was in New York, right? And I come down, and everyone was giving me dirty looks, like, what's he doing here? All you do is bust out a flare, and all of a sudden you're like the best rider ever. They were shocked, they'd never seen it before, and that's from people in the extreme sports scene. I just think it needs more exposure, But as I say, I mean, it is getting harder for people to get into riding now. It's probably just a fad, which is a shame to say. But it might grow in popularity again, and I really hope it does, because obviously that's good for all of us, But people have grown out of it. I mean, you look at Dan Avery, you look at Rob Watts, people back in the day that were the best, and they're only 24, 25 now maybe. And they're just falling out of it, and it's a real shame, But as I say, I mean, I do think it is on the rise again. Not majorly. I'm not too sure if it can ever get back to the place that it was in 2012 or 2013. But that is the goal, I really want there to be another Scoot Fest like there was in 2012, 2013 when they had chasing status. Like, that would be my dream, man. You know me, I'm a drum and bass head. I love it. I'd love to be able to ride all day. Maybe judge a comp, film a few podcasts. That's what I want to do at this year's Scoot Fest anyway. So if you do come to Scoot Fest, make sure Royce and myself, we're going to get a tent. I'm going to be filming live podcasts all weekend. I'm going to be taking pictures, doing signings and things like that. And I'd love to be able to do that, and then in the evening be able to listen to live music, man. Jason State is one of my favourite artists. I'd love to be able to ride and then go listen to them. That'd be great, but I just don't see it happening, which is a shame. I think these companies, they need massive investment. I think if someone was to come along, like in football, like with Manchester City or Chelsea, they've had these big rich owners come in, pump them full of money. That's what we need for the scene. Someone needs to come in, pump 10, 15 million into the scene. We need to get infrastructure. We need to make it better for the riders. Like, even in normal extreme sports, I mean, footballers, basketballers, they're getting paid like $200,000 a week just for kicking a ball about. Like, don't get me wrong, I love football, I love basketball, but they're not putting their bodies on the line like extreme sports riders are, and it's a shame, I mean, obviously Ryan Williams is getting paid like $1 million for every 4 years or whatever, which is still, don't get me wrong, it's a massive amount of money, but it's nowhere near what he should be earning. He is the top of BMX and the top of scooters. You know, the best NBA players, they're making like 34 million a season. And what's Ryan Williams making? 250,000. It's wrong, but at the same time, it's where do you get the money from? You know, you need a big investor to come in, invest, put 10 million into the scene. You know, but I don't see it happening. But I do think this One Nitro Circus is so good. They've come in. They put a load of money on the table for Scootfest, you know. I think the top prize was like 30,000 for the team that won it. Like, that's incredible. That's an incredible amount of money for someone to win. And when that much money is on the line, riders push harder, you know. They want to land the best tricks. They want to win that money. And that's the best way to be. The more people push the scene, the more people are going to watch it, okay? So, you know, we need to get companies to invest. We need to somehow find a way to make scooters more mainstream, you know, make them cooler. That's what we need to do. But the problem at the end of the day is, how do you do that? You know, I've spoke about it. I think we just need more money, but it's a catch-22. Is that it's harder to find money. The more money there is, the better it's going to be for everyone. So I think companies, they need to take a long, hard look at themselves. And they need to go out, they need to see how much money they've got and what they can spend. Because it's a real shame, man. Like, my dream, back watching 2011, watching the MGP tour, they had a tour bus. They had an actual MGP tour bus. That's incredible. Nothing like that exists now. I mean, even so, I think Kota is doing this new action sport thing. I mean, that could be great. But again, the infrastructure's not there, man. Like Scoot Mag back in the day, I always wanted to be in Scoot Mag. It was my dream to be on the cover of Scoot Mag, but I don't know what happened with it. Like, I've never spoke to Todd about it, but I'm assuming they just ran out of money, you know. It peaked in 2013. There was thousands of people riding scooters all across the world, but it's just not the same, which is a real shame. As I say, hopefully one day it will get back to what it was. But I am very doubtful about it, which is a real shame. So I'm going to wrap the podcast up here. Obviously, it is quite a short one today. This is my first podcast, so, you know, don't be too harsh on me. I would like constructive criticism, you know, what I did wrong, what I could do better next time. Hopefully, especially with the interviews, I do want to try and get probably about half an hour an episode. I think any longer than that, people are going to start tuning out. I know I would. I've got a very low attention span. So again, thanks for watching. This is the first one, very short, but you know, make sure you check out the ScootHub account on Instagram. That's where we're going to be posting a lot of things. We're going to be reposting pros, you know. That's the main thing. I want to try and make this podcast as big as possible, because, as I say, you know, the more money that's in the scene, the more exposure there is to people, the better it is for everyone. So again, make sure you follow Royce Clothing Official on Instagram. They're going to be our sponsors of the podcast going forward, which, you know, shout out Corey, it's great. We're looking to do big things together, you know. We're looking to do collabs on t-shirts and merch. And obviously we're going to be looking at getting a stall at Scootfest 2019, which, you know, that will be incredible. It'll be great to meet everyone, be able to film live podcast. I mean, eventually the place that I want to take this to is, you know, I want it to be big. I want to be able to film it. I want to be able to have, you know, the interviews on YouTube that you can watch the interactions and things. But for now, it's just me sat in my spare room with a microphone and a laptop. But thanks for watching today, guys. And hopefully we'll be back next week with our Devon Lowe interview. So thanks for watching, guys. It's been great, and I'll catch you next week.